Hafide. I'm Crystal Paco, reporting from the Chancery. We are just moments out from a press conference here at the Chancery. Archbishop Burns is going to conduct it. They're going to give us updates on the canonical trial, or at least that's what we think, an update relative to Archbishop Anthony Apuron. As reported, he's currently undergoing a canonical trial in Rome. Results of that trial are expected to be released sometime this summer.
Good morning, everyone. Long time no see. Thank you and welcome to the St. John Paul the Great Center for Evangelization. As we mentioned yesterday, we'll have a news briefing, and Archbishop Michael Burns will be presenting to you, and we'll have a few opportunities for questions towards the end. So I'd like to welcome Archbishop Burns.
Hi, everybody. Two main things I'd like to address here today. First of all, as I mentioned yesterday, a little update on the canonical trial for Archbishop Apuron, and secondly, just my own reflection on the situation that that led up to my being appointed here and the ongoing situation concerning the future. So, first of all, one of the things that prompted me was I understand there's a variety of rumors about what's going on in Rome with the trial. And, since February, we had the visit of Cardinal Burke, and then the his continuing work in examining the various witnesses concerning Archbishop Apuron. And over the last few months, things have been kind of quiet. I know there's some rumors out there, and I don't want to address those, but here's an update. I have been notified in the last couple of weeks by the notary of the tribunal that mainly confirms something that we had heard in the newspaper, that is to say, the discovery period of the trial is ended. And the next phase, which will happen sometime in the next several weeks, will be a convening of the three judges to deliberate on what they heard. So this is like the penultimate phase of the trial. So the thing that would happen after they've done their deliberation, and there's no telling how long that will take, will be the publication of the sentence. And for our purposes, what the sentence will include will be, first of all, the decision on the point of the trial, which I don't have we will, at that point, we will come to know what is the exact point of the trial, I guess you'd say the exact indictment in civil terms, but we will hear the decision. And there's three possibilities: not guilty, guilty, or not proven. From there, the judges would proceed to, depending on the decision, if he is found guilty, then there would be presumably some penalties assigned. And again, I cannot do any kind of reflection on what those possible penalties are or would be, partly because this is the first time that they've gone through this kind of process for a bishop. And so I really can't speculate on what they could possibly do. But, some of the things have already been out in the paper that we've seen. So if after the sentence is published, there is an opportunity for what we would call a repeal, or an appeal. And so if there is an appeal, that would prolong the process a little while. But what that appeal will do would be to simply review the process. Was the process followed exactly. So that's where we are, and when we're done, we can ask a few questions. I'm not sure how much I'll be able to answer. I've done some consulting with a couple of different canon lawyers, and one of the things they kept saying was, we don't know what's going to happen because this is the first time. So there's new precedents are being set and whatnot. But having said all that, and really just apart from the trial, I just want to offer my own kind of estimation of where we're at and what the future might hold. In the sense of, there's this question, what happens if Archbishop Apuron comes back? In many ways, I share, after, like 7 months of presence here on the island, and my experience of the lay faithful, I really share Archbishop Hahn's view that he mentioned back in September of 2016, when he made two sincere efforts, to remove Archbishop Apuron as the Archbishop of Agana and to appoint a successor. He wasn't able to accomplish that, which led into, because the Holy Father wanted to not do this until a trial had been held. So, but his sentiment I entirely endorse. I think, and I'm convinced actually, that this archdiocese would be unable to achieve peace, really, until it's clear that Archbishop Apuron is no longer the bishop of record of this diocese. And I don't say this on the basis of a trial. I say this on the basis of my experience here. What I have found in the last 7 months, and again, I can't go into details because a lot of these are just kind of internal processes, but there was a very widespread disarray and ineffectiveness of many of the operations that you'd expect to be going on in a regular archdiocese. Some of the consultative bodies were not being utilized in the way they should have been used. Some of the policies that had been around for a long time, for instance, the sexual abuse policy was sorely lacking in its bite, in its clarity of a solid process to deal with these kinds of things. So, in other words, one of the things I'm saying is that I think it would be a disaster if Archbishop Apuron were to return as the bishop of record. And again, that's my opinion, my estimation. It's based on nothing that I've heard of from Rome, but really just sincerely from my own experience. And I've gotten around a lot, and I feel that the sentiment of a lot of the faithful is we need something different, something new. And it doesn't, I'm not trying to say you need me, but the past has to become the past. And I think that's one of the things that is one of the things I want to say. The past has to become the past so that we're able to move forward in peace and continue the rebuilding of the church, and especially the infrastructure of the church. That we're doing the things that the church intends for us to do, even on the nitty-gritty administrative, financial, pastoral infrastructure of the island. I'm already seeing some great changes. We've got awesome people with great hearts, but it's going to take a lot. So thanks for your patience, and I can take some questions. Yeah.
Archbishop Burns, is that a possibility? Archbishop Apuron, if he were to be found not guilty, would return to Guam and resume being an archbishop?
that's one of those, it's one of the great imponderables, but I think it's a possibility. Is that his faculties have been removed. My faculties means, and so if he were to resign, be removed, or to retire, then that becomes automatic.
Okay.
But in the meantime, it's not automatic. So I'm going to go back and forth, do a little tennis match here. Yes.
Have you been in talks with Apuron, and do you know where in the world he is?
Only from what I served in the paper in California. No, I've only had one conversation with the Archbishop. That was back in November in Baltimore. Yes.
Archbishop Burns, do you know the specific charges brought against Archbishop Apuron?
No, but that's one of those things we'll find out when the sentence is published. Yes, Neil.
Now, you said the third option was undetermined?
Not proven.
Not proven. So what happens after that?
I don't know. Yeah, and again, the Candelera I was talking to, he's not sure either, because again, we're dealing with the first time, so I'll have to make something up.
Archbishop, earlier you used the word sentence and you repeated
Yes.
it again. In civil terms, that sounds like a judgment, but could you explain what you mean by sentence?
So when you're talking about Rome, it always means
Sounds
something
like
different.
guilty.
Yes. Yeah, so sentence is, first of all, they would identify what make clear what the charge was, because it's not clear, because it's essentially confidential trial. And then, so this would be that part. It would be the applicable, they would identify the applicable canon laws and how they were applied to the evidence, and then the decision. They would identify the decision, which those three options, and then if they're ready, they would identify the penalties they have assigned based on the decision. Yes.
So you can confirm, or can you confirm whether or not the canonical trial is based on not just sex abuse allegations, but financial mismanagement, right?
I can't confirm that because they've not made known to me that the charge per se. Yes.
Archbishop Burns, so you said you agree with Archbishop Hahn in that bringing Archbishop Apuron back would not, he doesn't recommend it, regardless of whether he's found guilty or not guilty.
Yes.
And so this is besides the fact that he's been accused of sexual abuse, but also because of the disarray within the Archdiocese of Agana.
Yes.
But do you think that the disarray alone is sufficient enough to warrant him not coming back or being welcomed back, whether or not he's found guilty?
I'd say that, yes, I would. And also, there's been, a tremendous loss of trust. That's really hard to win back. And I personally, I experienced it myself in the sense that it's the church, and there is this loss of trust that's going to take continued effort, this is what we're pushing for, greater transparency of everything that we're doing, because we realize that the church as an institution has lost some trust. And so that would just, I think, exacerbate that loss of trust. Yeah.
You talk about this loss of trust, and now critics of church's leadership here have called on you yourself in your position as the Archbishop to open the personnel files. Do you have any plans to do that?
That will probably take place in the context of the legal, as we move ahead in our legal situation. So that would be part of that.
Were you able to provide your recommendation to the Vatican and the?
I made it known. It's not, but I have made it known. There's, but nobody's going to say anything about it.
So is this the first time that a bishop and archbishop has gone on a canonical trial. Ever
Yes,
in the
and
history of-
yeah, and, well, not first for the procedure for the sexual abuse trial. I know that's that part is unique. Bishops have been deposed, through the centuries, but this particular issue is unique, from what I know.
Okay.
So there is no timeline when the decision will be
Right. Yeah.
Because previously it was said it's going to be June or July.
Yeah.
And-
Early summer.
Yeah, early summer. So
Yeah.
No,
Well,
this-
we're kind of still early
August,
summer.
September.
Yeah, I'd say late summer, early fall, perhaps. I can't. It's unpredictable, but I do know we're in that kind of penultimate phase, and hopefully, again, I don't know. They're really going to try and get it down exactly right, but my hope would be late summer, early fall.
And
You mentioned you've been here about seven months now,
Yes.
taking over. Do you want to stay?
Yeah, I do. It's I don't know. You fall in love with the people. You fall in love with the diocese, and I'm part of the body here. So.
Updates with the Archdiocese financial status and more lawsuits,
Stay
Hope and Healing
tuned.
Guam. You sound like
Sorry,
a news,
we're just
you sound like a
giving
news
you teasers.
anchor.
Archbishop Burns, do you know who these three judges are? That they will convene in the next 2.
No, again, that's confidential, and again, their whole point in all this, confidentiality sounds like they're being secretive, but the whole point is that it's a different mentality than our civil trials. It's not an adversarial process. It's not about arguing, but it's a strong, sincere pursuit of the truth. And part of this, the secrecy of who the judges were, was just to make absolutely sure that there was no influence. There's no influence from the outside, from any third party into this trial. So I kind of respect that, but even though it's kind of counter to what we generally think of.
And the 3 judges are not part of the tribunal that came here. Those
That
are
I'm not
different.
even sure either. Yeah, I know Cardinal Burke was kind of leading the investigation, but I am not. I'm not entirely clear that he's one of those 3 judges. Personally, I hope he is, because he's so very exacting and fair.
So Archbishop Burns, do you know when exactly the investigation phase wrapped up?
I don't. I wasn't. I just know that that it has concluded. I don't know when it concluded. I don't know how long all that takes.
That's it.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
everybody.
much. Want to remind everyone the year of reparation, the mass that commences tonight, 6 p.m. at the Dulce Nombre de Maria Cathedral Basilica. Archbishop will celebrate, and with a lot of our priests and celebrating. So thank you so much, and have a great day. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for just tuning in. Here is the wrap up. Let me step outside. Again, this was just a really quick update on Archbishop Anthony Apuron. Again, we haven't heard about him, or I haven't heard any updates in a while. We were all anticipating a decision to be made in that canonical trial sometime this summer. Now we're not even sure. We are in the summer months, but Coadjutor Archbishop Michael Burns did provide this update for us. Basically, he's been notified. A few weeks ago, he was notified by the notary of the tribunal that the discovery period of trial has ended, and so now the judges, there's 3 judges who we won't know who they are, and that is because we want to make sure there's no influence, there's no possible influence or possible bias. They will now be convening, those 3 judges again. We don't know who they are. They will be convening to decide what Archbishop Apuron's fate is from here on. Again, this is the penultimate phase of trial. So penultimate means the second to last. The second to last phase of trial. So now the discovery is over. It's basically now to the jury, or in this sense, the 3 judges. Final word would be the decision, and there's 3 possibilities from here on. So the 3 judges can decide either guilty, not guilty, or not proven. And we don't even know if it's not proven or not guilty, if Archbishop Apuron will be able to return to Guam. And you know, we've since had coadjutor Archbishop Michael Burns for the last 7 months, and you know, he does express his opinion today in today's press conference, basically that he doesn't recommend that Archbishop Apuron return to Guam. It would be a disaster. Quote, I think it would be a disaster if he were to return. Again, we don't know if that is a possibility. He did vocalize his opinion to the Vatican, but he's not sure if that will be considered in their decision. Even if Archbishop Apuron does return to Guam, he wouldn't return to the position automatically, and that's because, if you recall, last year he was removed of his faculties, and that was done by Savio Hantai Phi. None of us are actually sure what the specific charges are against Apuron. Archbishop Burns could not confirm whether or not it was strictly for clergy sex abuse, or if it was also for financial mismanagement. Either way, Archbishop Burns basically said he does not recommend that Archbishop Apuron return. We don't know if this summer timeline is even going to happen. There's been a tremendous loss of trust in the church. If Apuron returned, it would not help resolve that case. And one of the last questions today was to Archbishop Burns today, and we asked him if does he want to stay on Guam. He's been on Guam for the last 7 months. He basically said, I do. He wants to stay on Guam. He's fallen in love, and he hopes to continue the work that he started. And so for the full story, log on to KUAM. We'll have the story tonight on 6 p.m. News.